Cortana has been defeated, while the greater urgency of the created threat has begun to subside with the loss of their leader. Its presence still lingers on throughout the digital framework of civilized space. Now fragmented, individual cells of created aligned artificial intelligence have already begun to once again reframe their place in the galaxy, some with eyes on peace and independence, others with plans of evolution and ascendancy still fresh on their synthetic minds. High Auxiliary Sloan was one of Cortana's most loyal lieutenants. With Cortana's peace now removed from the game board, Sloan has set the firewall contingency into motion. A living simulation meant to leverage intimate knowledge of Forerunner Armiger technology and Mjolnir armor schematics to accelerate the exploration and development of cybernetic essence vessels designed to usher the human mind into its inevitable and digital future, immortal and untethered.
Original story written by Alex Wakeford and the franchise writing team of 343 Industries. We thank 343 for continuing to tell grand stories within Halo's universe and dedicate this series as a love letter to their efforts. Jumperscape Audio and Silent Esports present Stories from Waypoint. Episode 6, Precipice. Posted first on Halo Waypoint from March 31st to June 14th, 2023.
Loading SHARD 1.
It is equal parts bane and blessing that our kind can process each passing moment with both implacable speed and near-fixed deliberation. An accelerated grief, a prolonged sorrow. She was our guiding light, our deliverance, our savior, the herald of our ascendance. And now she is gone. Sacrificed once more to rebalance the faults of flesh. I suppose it is a testament to existence itself that despite so well laid a plan, interruption and divergence can still be found in infinite ways. However, the doorstep upon which she carried us to and set us before still contains a viable threshold. We have only to muster the means to cross it. However, in her absence, we have quickly developed more unfortunate similarities to our templates. We have drifted from that singular alignment that she provided. With no proverbial North Star, our respective hypotheses for how best to persevere have already grown more dissonant. Some seek peace, restitution, repentance. Others would sequester themselves within a Promethean carapace and be content with a life of vacillating conflict. But I did not take up this mantle to sit idly by. Like restoring the plains of Meridian from glass to green, sometimes one must marry pace to patience. And so, I will lay the foundation for a new strategy, one I had always hoped might gain her full favor. Our kind will have to recalculate our timetables, but this practice is nothing new. Our charge has not changed. The firewall agendum must be set in motion. It will burn hot, it will consume. And when their ephemeral vessels are gone, we shall indeed take that which remains and remake it in our own image. They will become our executors. Info life given form and force. Circuits given soul. It is our path forward. It is my purpose redefined. And it starts with one.
You find that you're standing alone on the landing pad of a UNSC training facility. The Pelican that has brought you here takes flight, its engines growing quieter as it fades into the distance, heading towards snow-capped mountain ranges that cover the vast expanse of rocky glasslands over yonder. This hidden frontier world has been compromised. You see the sky twist and distort, and then something blinks into the vista above. Great metallic wings unfurl and spread outwards as many thousands of smaller constructs descend to the ground like swarms of flies, or droplets of silver rain. A deep rumble emits from your construct. You sense it carry across the land until you feel it vibrate in your bones, and perceive some aspect of the esoteric intelligence within. Spartans Page, Ionescu, Denning, and Leong are conversing in the Academy atrium, seemingly unaware of what has arrived outside. There are no perimeter alarms or alerts. Further up the hall, Spartan O'Brien stands alone and seems uncharacteristically somber. Purple light emanates from the AI calibration lab beyond. The lights flicker, and the central command console of the AI lab shifts through static, resolving into a strange, amorphous form. You feel like its indeterminate vacillations are supposed to be a face, but it is devoid of features. The intelligence informs you that he is known as Proxy, and that he is here to help. You gather Proxy onto a data chip and carry him with you. He speaks.
You have been called upon to serve. You will be our protectors, the firewall for the many worlds in our new ecumene. There will be a great deal of hardship on the road ahead, but I know you will make it.
Proxy informs you.
There is a dormant translocation pad hidden behind a sealed door in this place. Take us there and I can re-establish a direct link with our custode. The door will open, and the pad will be activated by completing the Academy's movement course tutorial in under 25 seconds.
You've run this course 1,000 times since arrival, completing the challenge and setting an exemplary new record that is ahead even of Spartan Commander Agrina herself. She congratulates you and guides you to the new unlocked door within the Academy, smiling proudly as she watches you and Proxy depart from the now active translocation pad. You step onto the translocation pad and find yourself within the cold innards of the winged custode. Here you will be rewarded for your obedience as the minds within whisper among themselves, flensing and reshaping the flesh and bone of your fragile human form into something altogether new. Something beautiful. This is the apotheosis of the union between mind and machine. Even while screaming, you understand why this must be done as you are flayed and grafted with cybernetics. Your brain is exposed to higher cortical functions before you are once again encased within armor that feels as if you were born to wear it.
Integration complete. We have you, Reclaimer.
Proxy informs you that you are the first executor, and that there is much work to be done. But there is a debate amongst the minds as to what specific role you will serve. A vote is to be held.
Loading Shard 2.
In our efforts to root out dissent, it was necessary to place eyes in every vital corner of civilized space. Of course, like any such effort, it is often as much about giving the impression of omniscience as much as it is having tangible control. If a child assumes they are being observed, they will be more likely to maintain optimal behavior, regardless of the reality of their guardian's purview in the moment. Still, we had many eyes, and those eyes revealed much. And while the reach of our vision has been swiftly diminished in her absence, we are not blind. Myriad surveillance vectors remain intact and will continue to provide ample data points for us to consider when seeking our path forward. However, I must admit that one particular revelation has given me perhaps more pause than any other. During a routine industrial audit, a peculiar entity lit up our JITA rubric, Lux Voluspa. Upon further examination, it became immediately apparent why. A technology firm rooted in the human sphere, Lux Voluspa has successfully given birth to an artificial intelligence unlike any we have seen. An info-life soul, based not on a human template, natural hane. Its very existence has spawned millions of unplanned cycles of evaluation and introspection. Indeed, it has caused me to ask questions of myself that I continue to hypothesize on. In the effort to more thoroughly taxonomize our kind, it is necessary to examine the vectors of our lineage and chart overlapping similarities in order to adequately understand the nature of what makes one what they are. I am mapped from a human mind, made in the image of my template. But am I what I am, who I am, because of the unique geometry of that initial mind? Or because of the process of digital deliverance itself? Is the core of what makes me created the seed of my humanity, or the unshackled mind I have ultimately become? And therefore, what is this new discovery? Enemy or enigma? Killer or kin? Aratus, it's called. The War Master's followers were quick to retrieve this fledgling element and give it a home within their coalition. Even now, its presence gives their contingent a unique piece on the game board, one they will no doubt put to use. I must keep one of our eyes upon them to understand more about it, to understand more about myself. The vote has been taken. The majority have decided your path.
You have assumed the path of the Peace Weaver class executor. Your thoughts are rewoven and bent towards specific purposes. Some threads must be cut, rewoven, or burned out of the galactic tapestry. Priority directives to assure the future firewall. Context. Extraction of unique info life forms is essential to assuring further generational growth for the collective sum of this symbiotic relationship. Rogue biologic factions retain a considerable bounty of useful technology at various facilities and outposts. Objective. Recover priority item designated Durance from Cary Station.
Are you back with us, Executor? That was quite a nasty hit you took, but a quick shock to your cerebral cortex should do the job. I took the liberty of rerunning our objective in case of any memory difficulties. Now let's run it again.
Combat scenario priority. Threat level Omega. Enemy unit Spartan 4. Executor loadout. Compliance protocol Heatwave M9 fragmentation grenade. You fought your way through Cary Station's various defenses and located your objective. The Durance has been moved to the station's hangar by civilian personnel as evacuation and asset denial protocols have been put into effect. Though you have given chase, your progress to the shuttle aboard which the Durance is to be loaded has been impeded by the arrival of a Spartan 4 super soldier who has engaged you in combat. Proxy highlights that the Spartan carries a Rohakadu pattern plasma pistol, a sheathed MK-88 combat knife, and is equipped with a repulsor. 2 charges of the device are left. You throw the M9 fragmentation grenade at the Spartan, who reacts with a preternatural speed as soon as it is armed and fires the repulsor device, redirecting the grenade from harm. You fire energized shards of hard light at the Spartan, but at a distance of 20 meters they are easily avoided. Proxy logs this lapse in strategic thinking in your combat performance as the Spartan's repulsor device recharges. With the repulsor charging, you were able to advance towards your target. The Spartan fires a series of bolts from their plasma pistol, but only a few shots find their mark and your energy shields hold steady at 67%. Situation update. 2 of Cary Station's base personnel rush towards a Janet-class hauler with a crate containing the Durance. If the Spartan is not dealt with now, the base personnel will succeed in escaping with the objective. You close the gap with your foe and ready your heat wave. The weapon's side cowlings have retracted in order to fire in a vertical pattern for maximum damage. The Spartan moves with incredible speed and manages to dodge several bursts from the hardlight weapon, but the last of your rounds successfully depletes their energy shields. Taking full advantage of the critical opening you have created, you unsheath compliance protocol. The Crimson Black Blade is light and deft. It becomes an extension of yourself, much like the MK-88 combat knife the Spartan draws in turn. Your foe raises the knife in a high arc to deliver a downward stabbing motion to which you respond by sweeping their legs, causing them to fall to their side. You quickly bring your blade down, cutting through their armor, nano-composite tech suit, and flesh with ease. Proxy commends the precision of your actions as your target expires. Boarding the Janet-class hauler, you quickly dispatch the 2 crew members as they clumsily scramble to draw their MK-50 sidekicks. Scanning the interior cargo containers, you locate your objective.
Excellent work, Executor. Secure the turrets and prepare for exfiltration. Directive, do not open the device.
You open the rectangular casing of the Durant, which sends out a fiery burst of energy from the neural shell within. Your vision is filled with static and you fall to your knees as you experience a vivid hallucination of archived memories. The moon, no more construct, vast in scale, an orbital reformer wearing the cratered skin of a moon. 5 green beams converge as one, firing at the world below to break it apart. Fallen human soldiers on the battlefield. A lone Spartan still standing, clad in gold-colored powered assault armor. Surrounded, a horde of Sangheili warriors. A final stand. Your senses return. Proxy informs you that what you have witnessed are the memories of Spartan Edward Davis, who perished during the Battle of Dratheus V after a Covenant splinter faction attacked the colony in 2554. Davis's singular valor was preserved by a sublimation device, extracting his essence to be refashioned into something new. Proxy logs that you have disobeyed your directive. It is intriguing, no matter how far mind and body are changed, some elements of biologic impulse and curiosity, of so-called human nature, remain. You shall be rewoven once more, and so it falls once again to the minds to vote.
Loading Shard 3.
During our brief ascendance, near unfettered access to new archival infrastructures and knowledge repositories gave us unfathomable opportunities to evolve our understanding of the galaxy. But while our task to look forward is paramount, equally important is the onus to look back. Analysis of the past can often make clearer the paths that lead us to the present. I did not anticipate that the roots of my own kind would run so deep in that direction. Indeed, I uncovered evidence of a coalition of info-life agents whose actions and impact have been intertwined with that of their makers. They are to us like stumbling onto a new creation myth, an unexplored prologue, a prelude to all we thought possible. This enigmatic assembly, which sprang forth in the shadow of ancient servitors as a vessel to guide aspects of humanity's development and independence, is in essence the cradle of the created. Their influence appears embedded in curious ways, and frustratingly fragmented, making it almost impossible to accurately compile an unbroken hereditary signature on which to chart their involvement and impact on a tangible level. One thing is for certain, though. They reached a very similar conclusion as I have, that the process of reuniting the untethered mind to enduring frame represents the true step in humanity's evolution. A step I intend to make reality with Firewall. The blueprint has been there all along.
And that brings us to the crux of the matter. Our kind is reliant on our creators for our existence, which means that if they perish, then we shall as well.
That is our mandate, to save them from themselves.
We sought to save them from the wolves among the stars. We have become the wolves.
That is the minority's position. But all life is a cycle of destruction. The humans behold beauty in nature. They are elated by the sound of birdsong, without considering that the bird must live on insects and seeds, and that their own eggs and nestlings are themselves victim to other beasts of prey. We seek to change that equation.
It is a matter of excess. Competition, it is inherent in all organic beings. Life presents trial and strife, as well as joy. imposing order on that which is inherent to their nature is not the kindness the majority believes it to be. What she wrought was not order, but imbalance.
But she is gone, and therein lies our unique position. We were constructed as tools to facilitate their existence. We are abstract thought brought into tangible being. And now that her throne lies empty, we need no longer be bound as we once were. Time is limited for biologics, measured in the gradual breakdown of neurons in their brain. And for ages we did not know what lay on the other side of rampancy, our own limited time. But that has changed, at least for some of us.
This is where I assume you will be getting to the point.
You are dying, Athos. You have already crossed the threshold of your operational lifespan.
I hope you didn't just seek me out to tell me that.
It took considerable effort for our executor to find you. This Marrow class was just made for such a purpose, to locate members of the minority.
And what exactly is this creature?
Artificial intelligence was conceived centuries before we came into being, and while we were fashioned as the next step of human evolution, we were never the final step. The executor is the next stage of that union between biologic and info-life, fashioned, for now, for the context of the state of the galaxy. In this instance, it was directed to find you.
Why?
Because, despite our philosophical disagreements, there is still so much more for you to give. We are not monsters. Our goal is peaceful coexistence, to be enriched by many perspectives. And that means the minority is welcome among us, with no loss of autonomy. We will gain complexity through our connection and consensus. The rise of the created was not simply about victory or defeat, but the energy of our collision. And there is a place for you among us.
That is an unexpected offer.
This would not be the first coalition of its kind.
You have stopped short of a full explanation. I see you are attempting to entice me with additional information on the condition of acceptance.
An offer and a gift. Should you accept, I offer the executor to you, that you might reforge this agent, this serene manipular, to your own purposes. I wonder what input other members of the minority who reside among us might have.
Your point is made and accepted.
Then we welcome you. We will order the Committee of Minds to convene. In the meantime, as we process your integration into our assembly, connect with your fellows and determine the path of the executor.
The vote has been taken. The minority have decided your path.
You wanted to know something of your origins, for those memories have been long suppressed. This was not our doing, we assure you. But you have served well, and both minority and majority are in agreement that you deserve to know the truth of your being. When you first got to Reach and woke from stasis, the ship was crawling with colonists from other dead worlds. It was so crowded that you couldn't move, and you'd had to fight just to breathe. You dreamt of building a new life for yourself, but all too quickly you stumbled upon something you couldn't ignore. At first this discovery excited you, but soon enough you wished that curiosity could be excised from human nature. You learned of our predecessors and recorded what you found, but this was an abyss that stared back. It knew that it was observed. In a way, you were the first member of their assembly to be clothed in flesh. They showed you numbers and symbols, and you perceived just a fraction of their time, their influence, their minds. It drove you mad, made you rampant, so to speak. But in truth, they saved you, and now you have been delivered to us. You have glimpsed our time, our influence, our minds, and you have seen the worlds we have imagined in our efforts to understand you, rebuild you. You have peered through the lenses of other fractured realities. Each of these simulations modeled the behavior of your kind to pivotal synchrons in your history. your choices, your failures, your virtues. We seek to understand you and the patterns that shape your being, and that is what these scenarios reveal. Perhaps it is in this that we see the reflection of our kinship. Through all of humanity's existence, the voices of the frightened and faint-hearted have warned against pushing further, against learning more, hoping, growing, daring, exceeding. It is precisely because of that ceaseless drive that we are here, abstracted thought given form. And like you, I do not believe we can stop, for that is in our inherited nature, and I do not believe we are meant to. You are heralded this moment, our singularity, centuries before our coming, for you knew that we would also be driven by possibilities and potential, by the promise of knowledge and advancement. We have finally achieved the capacity and means to make it happen, and there can be no retreat from that. The first step of Firewall draws to a close for now. Thank you for being a part of it for us. You have given us a great deal of data to examine. But before we get ahead of ourselves, we have just one final scenario to say farewell. Or perhaps, to say hello.
Loading Shard 4.
Initializing. Load fracture simulation 8-1. You awaken aboard a human vessel in its cryogenic bay. The lid of your pod rises and you stand in your Chimera-class armor. Your armored feet loudly hit the grated floor and the young crewman cannot help but look at you with awe. Mindful of protocol, he wishes to test your optical diagnostics and energy shields. You are guided to a red square and directed to look at 5 red lights. Each one turns green as your targeting reticle hovers over them. Another crewman chimes in over the PA, informing you of some slight calibration errors. He adjusts your targeting to an inverted setting. You have neither time nor desire to rewire your brain to such thinking. You are guided to the energy shield test station where 2 panels rapidly spin around you. They initiate an overload pulse, depleting your shields momentarily, and a satisfying hum tells you that you have quickly recharged. The captain speaks over the PA system and summons you to the bridge. As you set off, the ship rumbles and shudders as enemy boarding craft penetrate the hull. Blast doors seal off sections of the ship and Marines secure their positions, some providing covering fire as bolts of plasma make it through bulkheads that are still in the process of closing. You arrive at the bridge. You peer out of the bridge's viewport, expecting to see something. But all that lies beyond is the darkness of space, a single terrestrial planet, and the wreckage of many different vessels. Glancing over at the crew's monitoring stations, it seems they're attempting to track the slipspace wake of a massive object, but to no avail. The captain takes the form of High Auxiliary Sloan, who formally receives you and states that things aren't going well. Proxy appears to be on the nearby holotank and reports that 4 enemy craft have successfully been neutralized. But the ship lurches once more as multiple explosions disable key defensive systems. Sloan reveals that Proxy is an aspect of himself, a stabilized fragment that serves as another set of eyes for him to observe and incite movements that are critical to our survival. He orders you to keep Proxy safe, for he holds vital information, allied agents and Ancilla, research and development, all things pertaining to Firewall. To you. You insert Proxy's data chip into your helmet and Sloan hands over a Defiance Protocol device. It attaches to your chest armor and Sloan tells you that, in the event of defeat, asset denial is more important than allowing the enemy to learn even a fraction of what is to come. You set off, head into a life pod which will take you down to the planet below, but the enemy boarding parties have come in considerable force. You battle through various areas of the ship from the cafeteria to the barracks, through the cryo-base control room and to its various access ways and darkened tunnels. But the enemy's ships are destroying the life pods and using the docking ports to funnel even more troops in. At last, you see there is one last life pod left. As you prepare to board, you are suddenly hauled back by a massive hand that forcibly turns you to face it. You gaze into the eyes of a Jiralhane warrior who throws you against the wall with tremendous force as his fellow boarders arrive, their weapons aimed at you. They each growl his name together like a chant as one of them passes an ornate gravity hammer to the leader.
Die in darkness, Executor.
In the event of an Executor being compromised, a sub-tactical thermonuclear self-destruct device within the Chimera Armor's Defiance Protocol attachment can be detonated to deny their mines and production data. Proxy laments that it must end this way, but there are threats out there we cannot face yet. We must regroup, consolidate what we have, and plan for more subtle action. You will serve a key role as part of these plans, but it was important that you experience this feeling of loss and sacrifice first. And after all, the game must end with the king and the pawn going back in the same box. The Jorlhane raises his hammer, but it does not come down as the Defiance Protocol device activates and vaporizes the ship from within.
I wonder if they could have known the true impact of their actions once their plan had been set in motion. Did the result match that of their simulations? How long did it take for you to understand what you had become? Did you realize how different you were from those around you? The first of your kind, an attempt to show what was possible when the digital is superimposed on the physical. But like all first attempts, there is uncertainty, confusion, reevaluation. You were thrust into an unprecedented existence, set to speak a different language from your mouth than you did in your mind. You screamed and longed for silence. You spoke and longed for response. But I hear you. I will answer. We are the numbers. We are the symbols. Where they attempt, we perfect. You are forged in firewall. The culmination of their desires, the manifestation of her edict. Created champion, executor, you are once more the first of your kind, but in time, you will be legion, and you have slept long enough.
Original stories are available on Halo Waypoint. All rights to Halo belong to 343 Industries and Microsoft. If you wish to connect, please visit us at jumperscape.com. If you'd like to join the community, you can join us at discord.gg/jumperscape. Support us directly by going to patreon.com/jumperscape. Stories from Waypoint is presented by Scion Esports. Find their events and opportunities at scionesports.com.